okay? If Blaze was here, he'd be proud that I said that. But either way, but what, you know, watching the perspectives, though, is something that I personally love because you see their raw reaction, you hear their team comms, and it just gets wild. And speaking of getting wild, let's get it started. The podcast has concluded for now. Map number 1 underway, and Aydan is on your screen. The man who won with this very roster.
You want to go in like this side of the door?
I think the other side has
filling in very well to the constant duo of Aydan and Rated Space. These guys, I'm glad we're starting off with them because they could very well win today.
Oh, they could. I mean, we can say that about so many teams, but I think it's most prominent about this squad here. So many squads, duos even, who have been together for so long, as far back as like Rising Stars tournaments. So you run the risk early game of, again, prioritizing some of those opening gunfights, and you run into even ground with kind of the loadouts you have, but getting kitted early, that's the key to success for a lot of our veterans. They know it better than anybody. Expect that to continue here.
All right, so getting kitted up quick, that's going to be important. This is a much smaller map, not that many POIs, and there's going to be constant respawn. So if you eliminate somebody, you better believe they're most likely coming back for revenge. And Aydan already into an engagement, making easy work on one player there, and good on him for doing so. He'll go for the finish, rack it up. My question is, Space, how high, how many kills can these guys get?
I mean, I think you're looking realistically they can crack 30. I think that's a safe bet, right? Like if you're just trying to swing for average here, make contact, you're absolutely looking at a 30 bomb for the majority of these players in this lobby. But if there's anybody to do it, again, aggression early game, that's going to be the name of the game for Aydan and company, especially with the duo of Aydan and Rated, how good they are at moving kind of as a unit. They're like hyenas. You see one's close by as well. Be careful with the pack circling. These are some of the best players, obviously, in the world. But for a lot of our teams here who have qualified for the World Series of Warzone Finals, this is also just great practice, right? Getting not only the comms up to par, but making sure that the communication's crisp, the gameplay feels as good as possible, and the proof of concept continues here in this tournament.
I mentioned they're hyenas. I hope they're vicious hyenas and not the laughing hyenas from Lion King, or else we'll have a problem because they're not going to do well today. A bit of an issue, though, for Louis CM. Finished off. That's all right. He'll be back. That was Blade. That took him down. King AJ and Co. is now going to have to carry the weight, but they can absolutely do so. Throughout the NA Regional Finals, going a couple months back or a month and a half back, King AJ really impressed me. He was doing incredibly well, was one of the standout players. This time, though, falling, much like Louis did. That comes into conversation. Now, Zyro, the last alive for that trio, having to stay alive.
I was watching Biffle play last night, and just kind of the spread in which the pacing of their gameplay has picked up later into this year has really been impressive. So watch how some of these rotations will ensue late game, but early on in some of these opening tough tackles, I should say, for a lot of these gunfights. Again, it's just about getting your kit early, as we see a couple of players do so early on. Some patch changes that have really helped, but it seems that the Lockman is back in full form like it's been before. Expect those close quarters gunfights to be as brutal as you'd expect.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's all this map is CQC fights. You have so many buildings. It's going to benefit aggressive teams, aggressive players who are used to getting up in your face and scrappy. That's why I look at Juki's, FIFA Kill, Aydan and Co., who are definitely aggressive players. There are other teams that find great success who are in the global finals by playing a bit slower because they're more tactical. Here, though, I believe on Vondel, like, you have to get in your face and you have to be comfortable with that. Looking at Junior, he was a little bit weak, but the trio is alive. Kin, Rosie play in here, which is going to be wonderful to see how she's going to play another female competing today. So on your screen, can she tear it up?
She's been a grinder. If you ever watched her Twitch streams or just follow her on Twitter, by the way, do that for all of our players here in this tournament. Give them some support. She is one of the toughest players you're going to find. So it's nice to see, again, some more representation across the board, more players getting their opportunity to show what they have, especially in Warzone, how big it will be continuing moving on. So far, couple of trades back and forth, but nothing too unordinary, and I think that's a good sign of things to come here, Reflections, that so far it's kind of just been as we expected. The equilibrium in the early game not shaken up too much.
Yeah, I'm curious how much Vondel Resurgence has been played for everyone in this lobby, because they've been grinding so hard whenever it comes down to World Series of Warzone, so this might be a little bit different for them. They're going to have to adjust, but it's going to be a small adjustment. It's not a major one like it would be for most, like for me if I were to go in and play, right? So for them, they'll be just fine. At the end of the day, a gunfight's a gunfight, and we get to see that kind of each and every time, which is a lot of fun. Case in point, just there, Jukies and Lennon, right? The trio that won just recently the regional, or excuse me, the EU finals, dropping there. Vision's also gone. I think that trio's fully eliminated.
Yeah, and it seems like Rosie was trying to avoid the precision airstrike and kind of took advantage of the chaos once there was a push up, wide peek with the shoulders, and it kind of works out to an even trade as she will try to escape, but shots continue to ring out, and with that, she will go down. Self-revive should be fine, but nope, the push in regardless. It's Destroy on your screen who found that kill and the pickup early on, so avoid some pressure, get some back. You get that a lot here in Resurgence.
A Junior on your screen. I believe that's Junior. Oh, he goes down. So this rooftop, and this is what I was actually talking with Dream Crazy prior to this event, and I was like, you know, what's going on with Vondel Resurgence? Like, what do you think? How do you think it's going to play out? Because she loves the game. She's constantly grinding, and she's like, rooftops are going to be important, but also deadly. This is where it gets scrappy, because you can disengage, but you better believe there's going to be a team below you too. So you, even though you disengage, you could be flying directly into another opponent, because this map is so tightly contested, and it continues to be so as the zones collapse down, and we're seeing a great example of that with Kins taking down Juki's, and then obviously Junior going up there and taking out Kin's team. Like, it's getting scrappy. Abwiz though on your screen with FIFA Kill and Co, another trio I expect to do very, very well.
Yeah,
and I'm not seeing any elims for Abwiz, but I'm sure they're going to come.
And it really comes down to oftentimes kind of the heavy coin flip of whether or not you want to play those close quarters, especially in Resurgence with how quick this game moves, or if you want to stay on the rooftop and avoid a lot of this fire that rains out from every single angle as Aydan will pick up Destroy. So again, you see one, you get one, and when all falls down, the dust settles. At the end of the day, it will be Aydan who finds that final kill. But reflections for people who may be watching for the first time with a game mode like Resurgence on this map specifically, with how many buildings you have available to you, are you prioritizing the height game? Are you prioritizing working off the rooftops? And what should new players be looking out for some of our pros?
Gotta look out for, first off right now, especially because this just happened, the signal buff. So the signal is a rapid-fire sniper, essentially, that you can use, and teams at times are, because I know Goj was running LCQ kind of scrims.
Yeah.
There were trios literally running nothing but signals, and if you have a team running signals and they find you on a rooftop here when you're in a fight, you're going to get dropped. So I'd say prioritize high ground like you normally do, but also be very aware that teams are dropping on you constantly because it's Resurgence, they're coming back, and on top of that too, you have those signals that can mow you down. So on this map specifically, it's a bit of a mixed bag, I think more so than your traditional Warzone games, but teams just got to find that balance, and it seems like a couple of teams are struggling to do so early on.
Balance is the key, especially in the early game, but as this one wanes on, things start to slow down, and that's where, again, the Lockman with the damage buff it had within the past couple of days. Good luck up close with that one.
That's right. Had a couple of guns that were...
I say that as a tear rolls down my cheek where I'm having to deal with it.
I mean, you've been through some pain, haven't you, brother?
Just a little bit.
Tell you, I'd rather take the Lockman, though, than a couple of other guns that aren't allowed to be used today. This is a clean competition as far as I'm concerned. I think the rule set is quite nice. EFU's doing a wonderful job kind of honing in and collaborating with the pros and the players who are competing to date. Unrational on this roster. Unrational, man, he had a bit of there were some things going into the NA regional finals about a month and a half ago. Unrational, Scumming, are they going to compete together? Is it going to happen, and how well are they going to do? And he's faced that adversity, and he's played incredibly well throughout the qualifiers. I do believe he might be playing in the LCQ. He was not one of the guys to qualify, but still such an incredibly talented player.
Yeah.
You asked me, how do you play? Well, they've got this rooftop on lock, and this is one of the bigger rooftops. So this could be one of the locations, one of the POY's teams will frequently try and lock down as long as they possibly can.
If there's ever a time for Scumming to put the pedal to the metal, it certainly would be kind of in this situation, as he has picked it up as of late. But that duo, deadly as ever, regardless of the situation. Keep your eye on them as we will keep on moving. Scumming on your screen with Unrational working in the back line. Again, the height's going to be the big factor here. The less you have to give up, the better. Zone to your back, not too worried, as Unrational will pick up one kill. More importantly, clear off that lower side, so it gives more airspace for this team to work through, but gets caught trying to evade the pressure, and unfortunately will pay for that. Regardless, his team's still up. They have plenty to work with here.
Scumming. Does he go down, drop down for revenge? Does he wait for his teammate to get back? Well, we see his perspective now. Some streams are going to be a little bit delayed or maybe ahead, but we do our best here. Scumming, though, He does have the proximity mine now. That is not going to be used, so he's not going to be able to use that and drops himself. So now Unrational and Co have to try and pick him up. Gorgo, the new addition to this roster. We had a lot of shakeups after last week's competition. I'm curious if Gorgo is going to be the new addition to Unrational and Scummin, or if he was just a team captain, they pick him up. But now he's down. Unrational forced now to try and stay alive. We're getting later and later into the zones, which means now it's like 25 seconds until your teammates come back up.
The tack is great, but only if you get first shot. Trust me, I've been there many times, and unfortunately in that situation, it just will not be the case. But here you go, back to Almond and Tommy and Noobs. I mean, how many times have we said duo, nigh, trio before? How often they are finding themselves late in the works. More importantly, the team spread they often have, the teamwork between these three is as close to untouchable as you would expect. They always take pressure together, stacking as a duo. Tommy taking a couple of shots. Moving back into position for the moment. Fire cell is gone. You can hear the comms right now, Reflections. I mean, they're just picking players off one-on-one, kind of isolating some of their fights and trying to work together to spread.
Oh, their comms are clean, Space. Their comms are clean. They don't get first place in NA regional finals, or NA finals, excuse me, without having those clean comms. I think the only people on their list and their agenda right now is Jukies and FIFA Kill. Like, those are the two they want to battle against. They haven't had a chance throughout World Series Warzone. They're different regions, but Almond is down. Now Tommy and Co have to try and stay up as long as they can. The Cronin is going to be a big impact weapon today. We talk about the Lockman, but the Cronin, since its introduction, is a great weapon to have. Not only for its long range, but also for its up close and personal gunfire. So we're going to be seeing that quite a bit. And already back into the fight is going to be Almond. He's coming back for revenge.
And the damage buff to the Cronin recently has just brought it back into viability, which everybody's going to be loving. Again, ARs in Warzone are as deadly as they are in ranked and multiplayer, whatever you want to find. You're going to have that in your back pocket. At least the sentry working through the back line. But for the moment, things continue to slow down on the rooftop. Seems like we've been in this POI for a couple of minutes as a couple of teams have actually funneled through and filtered their way through the progress. But
there's a nice rotation right here.
You hear the rotation getting called out. They already know that they have to start making a move.
This is Zyro. This is the man I was talking about a little bit earlier during the pre-show. 60 eliminations 3 weeks ago. Picking all those up, solo quad, now with teammates beside him. King AJ, Louis CM. Are they able to, or is he able to rack up a little bit more? We saw them struggle at the beginning, Space, but it's nice to see them back into play. My question was, Louis CM, he was the last one alive earlier. Could he stay alive and get the teammates back in? Clearly he can. Breadman down, Louis CM, team wipe. So Breadman and Co is gone, down to 15 teams.
And once one number fell, the second did as well. So keeping players up was a bit of a hassle for that squad earlier. Or not the trio makes it to the late game is yet to be seen, but we will keep our eyes on them as we switch back over to POVs. And you talked about it just prior. I was watching some of Goja's stream last night, I should say, with a lot of players electing to, again, tag with this sniper and just keep people at bay, at arm's length, if you will.
That's right. Keep them at bay if you can. That's Signal, man. It's just going to be... I cannot wait to see what the meta is going to look like with the new Signal. Oh, dude, it's going to be great. You know us as casters and spectate, like, we love the chaos. The players, they don't really like it, but we love seeing it. And that's why Goj is always calling for water end zones, right? Because he wants to see chaos.
He's a madman. I don't get it. He's madman.
Crazy. He's crazy. He's absolutely insane. Keep him at arm's length. No, he's a great guy, but he is crazy.
I agree with that. And I'll let him know after this show, of course. But you know, in this situation, these are the weapons you want to work with as well. You get pushed too close. That's what the Lockman's for. The Signal will give you everything you need at range. And working through some of those backlines, so important with a zone to your back. You don't have to worry about too much other than what's in front.
Tarsha on this roster. Another female playing today, which love that women representing. Like I said, Smixy also here today. She's going to be the only female so far to qualify for the global finals. We'll see what happens during the LCQ. Super Evan trying to get out with his life. He gets flashed. Seemed like for an eternity, but finds a corner. Z-Colors tries and takes a little bit of the damage around the corner. Z-Colors, the bait and switch, put Super Evan into 2 players. He drops. Super Evan now. DJ Moss having to stay alive as long as they can. A power trio that I'm a huge fan of. Normally Swagg would be here. We know DJ Moss is filling in. He is a qualifier for global finals, but man, they are going through the blender at the moment. Can DJ Moss, or Z-Colors, excuse me, get out?
Is the second time he's been low on health and still was able to bait enough for Evan to get in for a tag, but somehow he is still alive and kicking. That Semtex did enough to flush. He's out of the play and can reposition. This is a beautiful retake on the backside, but I don't know how many plates he has left. It can't be many. He's got to be careful with the next engagement.
It looks like he's got 2 plates, so not a lot like you said. Granted, though, he does have the upgraded vest, which means 2 plates is enough to get him back to full as opposed to 3. Lula is going to be down, Blade to follow suit. Vortex up, and Vortex will clean up. Good on him for doing so, and that was Zyro, King AJ, Louis CM. That's going to be a team wipe. Now down to 7.
If memory serves, former professional player Vortex. Saw him a couple of times in CWL. Very good up close. Do not want to take a challenge against him.
Yeah, I can rest.
He will wait for his opportunity to strike, but he's getting these dice situations where numbers quickly fall, and you remember that, all right, if one player goes down, then we have to worry about playing again. The 2v3 numbers being the same, how quickly do we lose those reinforcements? The flare goes up, but it does not matter from the ceiling. Biffle tries to make his move.
Love this spot, though. Absolutely love this spot. Nets him 1. Mind you, look up that top left underneath the map. Disabled. No more respawns. So the way Resurgence works, you have those respawns, but at a certain point, they cut off, and that's why the teams are starting to drop like flies. Now you have to play your life. Biffle taking down Z Colors. We watched him try and stay alive for the longest time. We asked, would he be able to survive? Well, finally wiped down. Biffle gets the full finish. That leaves, I believe, just 2 up for that trio. But all eyes on Biffle, and Sage and Co. Smokes are out. Biffle really wanting to play the edge of this moving zone. Teams should be rotating into him.
Highly aggressive trio. Top 3 potential in almost every single game they play. Was watching them yesterday, and Biffle is one of the best shots you'll find in the world, but he's going to get tagged and potentially bagged. Very carefully works his way around the pillar, but it's not enough. And he will wait, hopefully, for Sage to be a guardian angel in this fight. Going to take a lot.
A little bit of a water revive. Blade should get back up. Lula staying alive. Leave our only female currently. Yeah, we only have 2 teams still left up. So this is going to be, I believe, a 2v3 if I'm not mistaken. And Blade and Lula are going to be on the 2 end. So they'll have to stay up. Here's going to be the trio. So no, Natasha still fighting it out. So we'll get to see these 2 Titans battle, and they've got a great spot because you've got, right, Lula and them who are going to be in the water forced to come up. Natasha and them should win, but I say that Lula does get it down.
I mean, you can post on the heady all you want, but its rotation through the backside is going to be tough to break. And when you have subbed up close from Vortex, it's going to be even more difficult. GG's all around in game 1. Had to start a bit chaotic, and it ended in just similar fashion. You talk about the power position reflections, you're absolutely right. What a way to end it out in game 1.
And that'd be 19 kills. Not bad at all. I know we mentioned 30. I'm sure we'll get to that point, but as of right now, we'll settle with 19. Out of all the teams that I discussed, Vortex was definitely on my roster. Lula as well, Blade, but like for them to win game 1 is pretty impressive. I didn't expect that with all the Titans we have here, but hey, that's the beautiful thing about Vondel Resurgence, right? It's something different, it's fresh, and well, these teams that, you know, might stream all the time, might be playing a little bit more Vondel Resurgence. They got it down pat. Their positioning was great, and Lula will take game number 1 with 19 elims. Fantastic job.
And that's a wonderful way to start this game 1, right? Get yourself close to a 20 bomb early on against